I'm gonna have my whatever's on Chandler and Restore Truth. And then I never knew him personally. I never had that privilege, and that's part and parcel of being Australian and not being able to attend all of these events over in Utah all the time. And I'm just a little old Aussie girl trying to talk about church and talk about my life in the church as an Australian, as a single mum, and all those things. But one thing for me, Chandler was giving, he was loving, and he was sweet, and I could tell that from his content. I could tell that by interactions and stuff. He added me on Facebook, and I'm just like, dude, I don't know you personally, you know what I mean? Like, and I knew who he was, so like I accepted it and all the things, right? But but I never got the chance to actually have a one-on-one conversation with him. It's just one of those things as life kept getting in the way, and I was like, I should message him and have a chat and that kind of thing. But one thing that I will say with him, his content spurred me on. His content taught me about the church stuff. And like, I know I'm an oddball. I am an LDS content creator who does not know the deep doctrines and, all the things of the Book of Mormon. That was never my intention with my content. That's what Pa's for. Love you, Pa. But I've never been a scholar in that regard. And just how my brain works. But I'm passionate for the church, and I believe in the church, and I love the church, and I do love all aspects of it. And one of my things that I've always said as what converted me to the church was the plan of salvation, was the fact of eternal marriage and eternal families. Because as someone who was raised Catholic and then became an evangelical Christian for probably longer than I was a Catholic and everything, none of their how things end up in heaven sat right with me. And when I heard about the LDS Church's stance on that, it clicked. It felt right. And I'm not going to go and try and find it or anything like that, but Chandler definitely taught that. He brought the gospel and our doctrine and stuff across in a way that made sense to me. This little perimenopausal ADHD Aussie girl who didn't join the church until she was 28, 29 years old, and had already lived a life, who spent her life seeking truth. And I had World Radio, and I had Jacob at Thoughtful Faith, and all of those things that definitely helped. But Chandler tipped it over the edge for me because of the way he put it across. And I'm in a Discord with a lot of other LDS content creators, and that's how I found out about Chandler's loss. And one thing I'm seeing when they're all talking about it is stuff, like, I've had a very busy weekend, so like I haven't been able to, I've been reading but not responding kind of thing. But everyone has said the same. There's so many people that are like, Chandler's content is what brought me to the church, or Chandler's content brought me back to the church, or Chandler's content is what made me want to do content. And Chandler inspired so many in the very, very short amount of time that he was doing content. And, you know, I sit here, my measly little 1,000 and something views, and I sit here and go, is there any point in doing this? Because, you know, are we getting to anyone? And I know our content is a little sporadic because I do speak on DV and stuff, and being an autism parent and stuff, but I feel that it's all connected. I feel the church connects things in so many ways, and those are my things that I'm passionate about, is autism and DV awareness and the church. And one thing Chandler taught me is speak on what you're passionate about, and that boy was so passionate about the gospel. And you know, and I found out over the weekend from his brother's account that Chandler was starting a men's group, and I'm just like, that's so amazing. And he had missionary prep classes, and you know, he had such a vision, and we are poorer for him being gone. As much as I didn't know him personally in the way that some of the other content creators knew him, I have definitely felt his loss. And I've been going through and re-watching his content over the weekend and stuff. And, you know, my son, who's, you know, mostly non-verbal autistic, and he's sitting there listening to his hymns, singing along to his hymns, while I'm sitting there listening to Chandler's content, and I can see him hearing Chandler. And this little 5-year-old, almost 6-year-old little boy in Australia is hearing his content and hearing what Chandler has to say. And I hope they keep the men's groups going in his honour, and I hope they bring them worldwide, and I hope they accept little boys like mine, because he is growing up without a dad. And that is not a topic I'm going to discuss on here, but it is what it is. And I know having the content creators out there like Chandler and Carden and Jacob and David and Greg and LDS Scooby and Latter-day Logic and like all of them. There are little boys in the church who are dadless for whatever reason. And those little boys have all of those guys to look up to. And I just want to say thank you to you all. I really do. Because it's definitely needed. And I have an amazing ward that has definitely picked up those pieces with him in a local aspect. But because I have so much LDS content going in my house all the time as a content creator, you know, my kids knew Kwaku and Brad and Carden, and Raymond can say their names because I've had ward radio going non-stop almost in my house for 3 freaking years now. And now that we're on TikTok, he's getting, you know, all of the other, you know, men that are content creators, and yous are making a difference. And I know you sit there on days, and I know Chandler probably did too, and sat there going, am I making a difference? Yep, yeah, you are. Just know that. Yous are making a difference, and keep going. Because you know what? That's what Chandler would want yous to do. Just push through. Just keep swimming, to quote, you know, little old Dory. Yeah. Yes, Georgia.